Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe, where we'll be breaking down Star Wars and giving you, finally, our Star Wars spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, tune out. You should have by now. You've had plenty of time. This will be our spoiler-centric version. I want to say this isn't an honest trailer. That's because we're giving you this today. We need a break sometimes. We can't do them all the time. We took 1 week off. Our apologies. But right now, you're getting something super special. This guy was trending all weekend over Star Wars, and I wanted to get his true feelings here. Listen to him, guys. He has some smart things to say, and he didn't hate the movie.
I didn't hate the movie.
He didn't hate the movie. Max Landis, thanks for being here.
Woo! It's me, the internet's most famous sexist of today. I've been compared this weekend to Donald Trump and Martin Shkreli for not loving a movie. Welcome,
Max. I'm very excited to hear what you said trending all weekend, Mr. Worldwide.
You bullied me into doing this.
I did. I made him come here, guys. I make that clear. He was here shooting another special, and I was like, we're talking Star Wars. We got to have the man here who's been trending on his feedback on Star Wars. Next to him, Mr. Dan Murrell.
Hi.
Hey, Dan.
I've also been compared to Donald Trump and Martin Shkreli, but for totally different reasons.
And joining us, the Star Wars universe man himself, Mr. Ken Knapsack.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. Rolling up our sleeve and talking about Star Wars in the nerd bubble.
Let's do it. Real quick, this will be, we are airing this now on YouTube. It'll be again on ScreenJunkies Plus on Wednesday, where we typically do the show live every week. So if you're not a member, please check it out, ScreenJunkies.com. And we also have a TV Fights later tonight live if you watch. I wanted to get all that away. So let's get right into it, though, Star Wars. So we sort of know where you stand. I want to come to you first, but let's get Dan and Ken. What are your thoughts now? Spoiler free. We can say everything.
Sure.
We know Han Solo dies.
Yeah.
We can say it all. Wow, it feels weird to finally be able to say that out loud. Go ahead.
I've seen it twice, and my second viewing, I came up with pretty much the same thing as my first viewing was. I enjoyed myself a lot. I thought it was a good movie with some issues. It was a solid B movie for me, not B movie, but a solid B movie, and I certainly did. It's not without its problems, but for me, the good overwhelmed the bad.
Ken.
Yeah, for me, I'm like Dan at the beginning. It was like, it is a movie with problems, and I was a little disappointed that the plot repeats, and it's a cover song, a little bit of the original three. It's not just New Hope. They take elements from all three of the movies and put them into one. As I viewed it more, look at my hat, look at my life. It's not a surprise that I crawl into the Star Wars nerd bubble and can really start digging into the myths that they're putting out. I think there's more in this movie than other Star Wars movies of Game of Thrones style myths, which is the style of making pop culture properties right now, is let's give you something to climb into it. So I'm buying that. I'm buying into that, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's not, though, that I have blind love, like I saw Phantom Menace 8 times in the theaters, and it took me 8 times to realize I made a mistake.
Wow.
Again,
I'm in the camp of both of you.
Yeah.
Max, where do you stand in this camp?
Trending with hate.
No, but I want you to get your true feel. Let's be clear.
Well, no one has asked me how I felt about the movie.
Yeah,
so this is. I thought it was okay. I thought it was like a C. It reminded me too much of every other action movie right now, plus all the Star Wars stuff, and that disappointed me. I thought the characters were really thin. Like, I was shocked. They were like video game characters. But then I thought the villain was really fun. Mm-hmm. I liked a lot of the ideas of the plot. Like, I loved the Han and Leia stuff, and I liked the ideas of every character. I thought the idea of Finn was great. The idea of Rey was great. A lot of stuff. Well, I guess we'll get into it. It was a movie that, for me, Disney, please don't kill me. It didn't have any of the edges of the original Star Wars. And by that, I'm not saying it's edgy, but just starting one thought, why are there only TIE fighters and X-Wings in this movie? Because they're the Star Wars things? Mm-hmm. Star Wars fans?
Yeah.
Where are the B-Wings? We've yet to see a B-Wing be really cool in a movie other than Jedi. Yeah. Where are the A-Wings, the B-Wings, the Y-Wings? Where are the TIE Interceptors defending that giant base? Where are the TIE Bombers? Where's the TIE Ds? Where's the TIE Advance? Like, I know the universe got sent away, but all of the new things that were introduced were just paint jobs of the old things.
Well, let's talk about the new things. What did we like? What didn't we like? I liked Rey a lot. I thought she was a fun character, and I do think there were a little too many conveniences throughout the movie of how we did that, and apparently the reason was the Force. But I don't, and I think we'll learn that in the next movie. But as of now, I'm not using that. None of that hurt me enough to dislike her in that run.
Well, the new things are what won me over on this movie. I agree that I wish that there had been a little more inventiveness on, for example, the Star Killer base. I wish that there could have been
Another Death Star?
I wish there could have been a more original set piece. But the reason that doesn't tank the movie is for me is because I see that as exactly that. It's a set piece. It's not like in A New Hope where the whole objective was to destroy the Death Star, and that was really all that was going on. I felt like that was the backdrop for Rey and Kylo Ren's final confrontation. So I agree. It could have been a little. I wish it had been a little more original. But the new stuff is what.
Confrontation is with a guy they've never met before.
Is that true? I mean, my head's already speculating of did they?
Yeah,
I feel like Han and Leia knew more about Rey than they're telling us.
I agree.
I agree with that, but I don't think fan speculation is a good supposition for, like everyone was saying to me, everyone wants it both ways with this movie. Because I said, she's too good at everything. She hacks everything. She beats up everyone. She never struggles with anyone. She gets force frozen once. It's like a character in a video game beating levels. And I just wanted her to struggle a little bit so that I cared what happened to her. I knew she was going to be fine the whole movie. You know what I actually thought? I thought he was going to say, join me on the dark side, and she was going to say yes. And it was going to be like the most badass film twist ever. And
then you would have liked it.
I wouldn't have liked it. I would have been like, oh, it makes sense because she's so tough. Why does she need this baggage of Finn?
Let's call. And you were this was trending worldwide. You were calling her a Mary Sue, is what that means, as a character who learns it all too much.
A Mary Sue is a term created by a woman named Paula something in a Star Trek magazine in the 70s for a author insert. And we've all seen Mary Sue's. Like, it's a character who is too good at everything. Master Chief from Halo is a Mary Sue. John McClane in like the new Die Hards, where he can blow up anything, is a Mary Sue. Or they call him Gary Stews.
Yeah.
But the reason it was trending is because people thought I was mad that there was a female hero in Star Wars, which is just like, I don't know.
To be clear, that's
right,
not
that's
what we
not-
are.
yeah,
But that's all.
no.
It's hashtag mob warfare right now. You say one thing, you're going to be a victim of just putting your opinion out there. And
Yeah.
I think I get where you were coming from. Even as a fan of what Daisy Ridley did with Rey and what I get what you're saying on some of the
She's a good
stuff.
performance.
Great performance and engaging. And maybe I think from the beginning, I loved the stuff on Jakku with her just sitting there being her. And so I think I fell into supporting the character then. Some of your stuff is saying, some of it I think is just tentpole filmmaking these days. You got to rush too much
The
stuff.
thing I also loved, little thing, like the scene with the bread coming out of the pan, like
Yeah.
there were little nuances like that where
practical
we don't
stuff.
usually get to see them eat and do things in the world, where I do feel like they did give us a little more of the layers, but I don't disagree. We could have had more. I mean, the biggest disappointment for me was Phasma. We actually been tweeting about this, but like they built up Phasma. They're like, oh my God, we got Brienne of Tarth, and she did nothing. And then she just gave away the shields like nothing. And I guess we'll learn more about her. But I was pitching, I wish that scene where Finn fights the stormtrooper on where were they in that world? What world was
Random
that?
Yavin. They were on
Right,
Yavin.
yeah, where
Maz Kanata's planet.
yes,
the
her
name
planet.
is somewhere there. but, yeah.
That guy's a traitor. That was a cool sequence for me, but I feel like that would have been so much cooler if that was Phasma and we had given her at least a scene to be a badass and
I'd agree with that.
fight her.
But here's my larger thing, and I've been trying to write something for ScreenJunkies.com kind of in this vein, and the thing that's kind of frustrating me a little bit is, like, no one here thinks it's a bad movie. Necessarily. Not a flat out
We all are
bad.
giving it passing grades.
We're all giving it a passing grade.
I would never describe it as a bad movie in a world where like really bad movies
Right,
exist.
where really bad
Right.
movies
where
exist.
Transformers
And
4 exists, yes.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to figure out the most is why, especially online, the conversation. I've seen almost no conversation about what's good about this movie. It seems to be almost exclusively what's bad, even from people that like it. It seems almost exclusively to be like, I didn't like Captain Phasma, or I thought this was dumb, or I didn't like this, and I didn't like this. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is I was of the opinion, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said, like, man, if you say a bad thing about The Force Awakens this weekend, you are going to get pilloried. But it's kind of the opposite. A lot of people that say good things about this movie are when I certainly was very positive. Max and I went back and forth a little bit on Twitter this weekend, but it's surprising me that even people that like the movie, there seems to be a very big focus on what was wrong with it and not necessarily what was right with it.
So I'm watching the hashtag SJU live, which you can tweet in. You're not watching live, where we put out the tweet for this, and it's kind of split down the middle even here. Michael Kenny at Bridge of Calm says, I have nothing to declare apart from its brilliance. But then Yusuf Kanessa says, why have we allowed a movie to reach this, quote, untouchable pedestal? So it's even now.
Well,
obviously,
I just
this
think it's
movie's
the
not
history. There's so
untouchable.
much baggage to it. We all have something with Star Wars, and I think this is the first new one. We all went in, I think most of us went in just sort of like, yes. I think the kid in me awakened, as I've said, just because I shut off my critical brain, which we do for a living. But in that instance, I did fall for it. And then as I sat, I think we'd all notice those things. It's like, well, I wish they would have done this, and this. But I agree. For me, as an overall, like, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's hard to keep poking at it because it's like compared to most movies at the level and the expectations that these people had to make this movie, I think they did a pretty damn good job.
I have a theory. Oh, sorry.
No,
Ken,
go for it. I was just going to ask you a little bit more. What is your, talk
I
to
have
you about
a
your
theory
theory.
on what you're talking about. And it goes back to what I keep saying about the movie, is that the movie didn't take enough big swings to engender, it was the great part. There's no the great part in this movie. Like, when I think of New Hope, I mean, like, it's a good, like, it overall is good, but when I think of New Hope, I love when they're fucking dressed up as stormtroopers, and they're, like, walking Chewie, and they're like, hey, we gotta, and then Han shoots the thing, and then Leia saves them, because they get trapped in that hallway. Leia's like, into the garbage chute, and they go down there. In this movie, oh, God, I don't want to say, like, negative things, but I think I know exactly why people are reacting this way. And it's because there was no point in this movie for a lot of people, not for everyone, and if you have a point where this happened for you, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But I think for a lot of people, it was a good movie, but there was no Mad Max, Doof Warrior driving the thing. There was no specific moment. And that left people open to go like, well, they run and they get shot at. The bad guys show up, they run and they get shot at. The bad guys show up, they run and they get shot at.
I'll agree. It's weird. I
There's
think
no
like
huge sequence.
The
I will agree with
Darth
that.
Maul sequence still, to me, is probably a better sequence than any of this movie. But I think there were so many littler, subtler, more nuanced moments in this movie that they added up to feel bigger as a whole. Whereas Phantom Menace only had that moment, which was amazing, but it almost felt like the stunt team made that scene in a bubble.
The pod race is well directed too.
Right.
It's just in a boring, terrible thing.
Sure, fair.
But
terrible.
that's actually interesting because the way that I justified the prequels was that I did remember those moments and I forgot all the other stuff. Like, even as dumb as it kind of is now, the Yoda fight at the end of episode 2, at the time you come out of that movie fresh off and you're like, yeah, Yoda kicking ass and blah, blah, blah. And then you see it again and you're like, oh, shit, I forgot about all this sand and all this.
That's because they're the prequels, for all the negative things about them, and I would never compare The Force Awakens to the prequels because number one, it's just a better movie, and number two, its problems are entirely different. The prequels have so many new and crazy and interesting ideas in them.
Worlds and characters and vehicles, yeah.
And so, like, the prequels, even though there's, like, a city on water and a city in the clouds, and there's all these parallels, there's Jango Fett and Boba Fett, guess what? Jango Fett, in his execution, was a very different character than Boba Fett. Anakin sucks. He's one of the worst protagonists in film history. But you can name the reasons he sucks. Rey is spunky. She's tough. She, Anakin's a worse character than her, but you can say more about him right now.
I found myself connected with her when she was. It's very brief. It's a brief moment when she's sitting there when she's cleaning the the thing she scavenged. She looks across and she sees the old woman, and it's not a big moment, but you can see in that interplay the kind of conflict that's within her. I think that they did a lot of character development with her. I agree. Yeah, she can do a bunch of stuff, but Luke Skywalker could do a bunch of stuff.
No, he couldn't.
He could.
Everyone's been making this
He blew
argument.
up the Death Star.
That's the one thing he did.
And playing a thing that he never flown before. He goes in this huge trench.
Okay, so here's Luke Skywalker's character. He's introduced.
Yeah.
We spend an hour with him.
Yeah.
His life sucks. He's a whiny dick. Okay? He wants to be a pilot. He's apparently good at piloting. That's said a bunch of times. Do you remember when Luke says, I'll just fly you there.
I'm not such a bad pilot myself.
I'm not such a... It's established again and again and again. It's also established that there's a thing called the Force that lets people do cool stuff.
Right, and Obi-Wan does say, use the Force.
Yeah,
Luke.
it's his ghost. And do you remember when Luke has the lightsaber and he's getting shot by a toy? Or when he has to get saved by Princess Leia?
Can we
or
be honest, though?
R2-D2?
He's so whiny in
He's
that movie.
a whiny dick. I'm not
When
saying...
you rewatch it...
But so is Anakin, and now so is Ren at some of the parts. It's a family line. It's a family trait.
I also am not...
fair.
I'm not saying Luke's a perfect hero. He's just not a Mary Sue.
I get what you... No, absolutely. Rey kind of comes fully formed, which now we're putting a lot into it. But how much of this, Max, especially your take on the industry, is, like I said, the tentpole filmmaking that they have to kind of rush through this? This is a summer blockbuster released in December. Lucas is an auteur who created his own world and had his own pacing and could put some of the stuff in that he did so well. You don't want to compare, but it is a different time. Don't you think they did a great job in what they had to do in a short
who I
amount of time?
liked in a summer blockbuster that had more action than this, but who I related to more? Woman called Furiosa.
Fair enough.
I understood what was going on with her. I was invested in her.
Terrible story, though.
It's a nothing story. It's a nothing story, but you like the characters so much and the action's so wonderful.
Okay.
Here's why I'm going to reserve judgment on Rey. Is I feel like there's a lot that we've yet to learn because I agree.
Is that fair, though? Should a movie coming out give you that feeling now, or should we be like, okay, because we don't give that same regard to Twilight or Harry Potter or all these part one,
that's
part
a fair
twos.
assessment,
Those
too.
are
No,
based on something.
Just to be fair, like, are they? Because I agree with you, and then I'm also struggling. Like, is that fair for us to say?
I'm not saying they didn't leave themselves open up to criticism. If this is the case, I'm not saying it was necessarily a good decision. But the reason that I'm holding judgment back on that, because watching it the first time, I did kind of feel like, well, how does she know all that? I'm gonna reserve judgment because I feel like we may learn that she is perhaps more powerful than maybe any Jedi that we met yet. It is called The Force Awakens, and I feel like we could learn some things that kind of explain that. Again, I'm not saying that's necessarily a great decision to leave yourself open to that kind of criticism, but I'm not going to jump on that train just yet. Maybe after episode 8, I can go, yeah, they were kind of played fast and loose there.
I have a side note, which is that I don't think she was the only thin character. I think people jumped all over me because they didn't notice that I also had things to say about Poe Dameron, a badass. And that's it.
That's it. Underused, yeah.
And Finn, a clumsy, cowardly bumbler. And that's it. We don't even know why he turned. I mean, we can say it was the Force, but his helmet got too bloody? Like, he's
It was
a
his
janitor.
first battle. He got
war, man.
PTS.
War.
They're Hitler Youth.
Yeah.
They're Hitler Youth.
Yeah, but I would hope and assume he's had. Well, she did say that was the first transgression. But yeah, there must have been. It would have been nice to see some other moments. But
What if
how do
there's-
you fit it all in, right? How do you get it all in there?
Easily cut out the dumb tentacle monsters on hands.
Well, that I definitely
That
would
was
agree
dumb.
with. The Rathtars are
That
the
was a
worst
dumb
sequence of the
sequence.
film.
I'm the
Yeah.
only one that liked it.
It's 2 Men in Black 2 for me.
It was a little weird for me. And the
Just
fact
have-
they all got out and then
Just
all
have-
the bad guys got eaten.
One scene where the opening of the movie is the rattling, and FN is like that, and you see that his gun's shaking in his hand, and you don't see his face, you don't know it's Boyega, and the stormtrooper next to him goes, "It's your first time out. Stick with me, I'll protect you." And he goes, "HK, I'm like, I don't know, I'm supposed to be back up on the ship." Captain Phasma goes, "Why? Quiet, both of you!" And he goes, "Just stay with me." They go down to the planet, that guy gets shot, blood on the helmet. And it's easy.
Look,
it's not like it takes time.
I would love a Max Landis script
No, I'm
doctoring
not-
on Star Wars.
I'm not saying I can do it better. I'm not
I
saying
do
I
like
can do
that.
it better.
It does help.
No.
I'm not saying I would never say that. Everything I say is just fan fiction of a movie that
I
exists.
look, the Han Solo death. I'm as big a fan as I was. I didn't cry or
my
react to
biggest
that.
problem.
It was
I didn't cry either.
because they squished.
I cry
in
a lot.
He does. They squished in a lot to that moment. It was like we had to learn. Like if they had thought Ren was dead or their son was dead, and then Han in that moment learns, oh my God, he's alive and he's this guy, and now he's going to kill me. That might have had a little more weight to me in the moment. I felt we had to kind of a lot of exposition on.
But I think Harrison Ford did a pretty good performance
was
given
great.
what he had.
Oh, no,
I mean,
he
like
was
that
amazing.
scene, I agree
But I think
with
he
you.
had- given what
Not
he had, I
enough
think he had a
build-up,
lot.
But there, you could see a lot in his face as he was trying to give you as much as he could in the time he was
he
allowed.
came back to give Han a proper Viking
Yeah.
funeral.
He was
really
good
did.
the whole.
Yeah.
Talk about things that are
Fantastic.
good. He was good the whole movie.
Yeah, he
was.
Better than he's been in years.
It's like I would even consider him a supporting actor nominee, like later in some of these awards. Like he really, I think, brought a new layer to him and had some depth. I totally agree.
That's my two biggest qualms in the movie were R2-D2 waking up for no reason, which they did not properly explain.
No.
And I did feel like the death of Han Solo, I felt like the story reasons were there, but I felt like it was treated as just another event in the movie, and then it was quickly moved on. And they needed to give that, I felt, a moment. It needed
It parallels
a
the death of Obi-Wan, wherein two characters are far away and
Right.
see it. But if you really wanted to like punch you in the stomach with it, it should have been Phasma easily overpowers and captures them. And then is like, I'm taking them to kill them. And then Ren, who we think killed. So just like you said, we set it up like Phasma overpowers them. And then Ren goes, no, I think it's important that I talk to Mr. Solo.
Alone, yeah.
And is like, does it bother you that I killed your son? And it's like laughing at him. And the audience is like, damn, this guy's a psycho. And then, I am your son, idiot.
Yeah, something like that. That's also good Ren, proving you did play him, right?
Yes, that's correct. And then I dyed my hair.
yeah.
So let's talk Luke.
Yeah.
Well, what are the feelings on Luke? Because my that was one thing that frustrated me. Is like I liked seeing him, but I wish they hadn't put him all over the poster and teased he's in the movie. He
wasn't on the poster.
He's
They
billed
put his name in there.
He's
He was
billed
top
billing on the poster. So my frustration was like, why couldn't they have just made it like, was he alive? We don't know if he's alive. Rumored he's been dead. If you're gonna give us that sort of little tease at the end, I wish they could have used it as a bigger surprise and just not told anybody like he's not in the movie. He's gone, and then whoa, he's there. Or just don't give it to us. Give him a proper reveal later in the second movie rather than this weird tease at the end of the first one, which to me does feel like, wait, there's more. Stick around. Our story's not over.
I liked it.
I did too.
I liked it.
liked
I
it.
thought I said it on our Screen Junkies show. I think it's a brave choice. Do it now. I regret that there's not one more Han and Luke together again. How we doing? Same as always. That bad. Like I would have liked that kind of moment with Hamill and Ford. Regret we're not going to get that. But I like that. I like it, man. In this day and age of leaving things in the end and connecting stories
But I don't
together.
know, to me, it was more like it was a buildup of like, oh, he's going to be here, and then there he gives me a face and we're over.
I think they were in a no-win scenario with the movie, which is that there was no way in today's culture that they were going to be able to keep it a secret that he was in the movie. The
shot with him
the photo
one
was
time on a
and the
mountaintop.
photo was immediately leaked 6 months
true.
ago.
It was.
So I think they had a choice to do. JJ already did the thing of the whole with Khan just denying that. Oh no, it's not Khan, and then Khan's and it's like, oh fuck you, sorry. Screw you for telling me that Khan's not in the movie when he is. And I think they had to be like, either we say he's not in it and it's this huge distraction because everyone obviously knows he is, or we say he is in it and everyone's going to be pissed off because he's only in the end of the movie. I liked it.
Why did you like it, Max?
Can I tell you something really weird that flies in the face of everything? Okay, so this is going to be really weird. I'm a feminist, and I was very going into this movie super excited because I think women are basically the same as men, but also women tend to look cooler, if I'm being honest, when they do guy stuff. Like they look cool. And when I was seeing images of Rey, I thought she looks cool. And the image to me in my head in the end of the movie, I kind of left the movie like, cool, because it was a female Luke Skywalker, Rey, with Chewbacca and R2-D2 and the Millennium Falcon and Obi-Wan Kenobi Luke. And I went, oh, that's such a great image. Like, I got very moved and I was like, yeah. And then I thought about Rey and I got bummed out. But like for a minute there, it totally sold me. I was like, that image
Nostalgia tricking you all.
It was the image of like, it was the image because Daisy's such a good actress and she's small. Daisy,
Really good
my old
actress.
friend Daisy Ridley's such a good actress and she's small. Her standing next to Chewbacca is so cool looking and like, it just feels like Star Wars and I got very excited. Sorry, this is something I liked in the movie.
Some of my favorite moments of the movie are when they're flying before they get there. And she's really good with it. She looks at Chewie. There's a great moment where Chewie's kind of like, yeah, it's yours now. And she's the captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I love it.
And I think that she did some great. It was like it dawned on her at the same time, too, as it dawned on the audience. Like, she's got it now. And I like that a lot. And that's why part of the reason I really like the end.
So where do we think it's going? Thoughts, feelings? I mean, I assume we're all... Are we excited to see the next one?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe I'm stupid. In fact, I'm definitely stupid. but can I ask...
He said it.
Can I ask a question, which is... Okay, so if you have a map of the galaxy, this has been stuck in my head. You've seen it 4 times.
4 times.
Oh, and
So-
why didn't they know where it was with the piece they had?
Well, okay.
Because I asked that first, but it made sense in the second time.
Okay, so let me set up the question, and then if it makes sense, answer. So if you have a map of the galaxy, and you have one piece of it that shows a whole little section of a solar system, and the solar system and the piece you have says, there is where Luke is. Okay, and then you have another piece of the map that is giant, and in R2-D2, who's in low power mode.
PS4 rest mode. Yeah.
He's gone to plot device for a while. Wouldn't you technically only need the portion of the map you have, or the line on the map that shows Luke's trajectory? Wouldn't all they need?
They explained it.
Did they?
Yeah,
Because I saw it again the second time trying to figure it out.
Well,
and I
no,
couldn't
the
figure it
throwaway
out.
line is it's too expansive to know where in the map it is what they
It's
said.
like an uncharted
The small
part.
piece is too hard to decipher where in the grander scheme of where they need to go. Because I had the same problem the first time when they at least tried to throw a
but
line to explain.
It is a throwaway.
But
like,
it's totally weird.
It's to answer your question by just going, no, don't worry about it. It's a place we didn't know.
But they did attempt, just like they also said Han Solo's like, well, you didn't think we had a tracker like we did? Because I was like, how did they find the Falcon so fast?
The scanner,
But they did throw a line of like, well, if we can find them on our scanner, they can too.
I still don't know why R2-D2 woke up.
that was unexplained.
The Force. It's either the presence of Rey.
But did no one else want Luke to show up in that battle at the end? Like, because I'm glad she had the moment.
But that is why I like it as a brave choice.
It would have been a cheap applause moment.
I just want to say something. I did want him to show up. On top of that, the biggest beef for me in this movie. Like, if I could only choose one thing, and I loved everything else, let's say that, the thing I would choose is, why is everybody great with a lightsaber? Why is the villain of the movie? I understand that Ren is weak, and he's gray, and he's not strong with the dark side of the Force. Why the fuck is he getting not just beaten, but his ass whooped in this movie? Ass whooped.
Can I
He
fight?
gets cut in half.
Can I fight back against that? Because
This isn't a movie fight.
I watched the second time with a very careful eye toward that because I flagged it a little bit the first time I watched it.
He's injured.
There's lots of reasons he's injured. You can say he's emotionally conflicted.
Whoa.
I think he's a total fraud, which is kind of what Ray
posing.
says. It's like,
He is a
you're a
fraud.
total poser. But I was watching especially the Finn fight. He's like, well, Finn's not even a Jedi. I watched that very carefully, and Kylo's almost toying with him. Finn is running, and Rey, up until she gets her Force moment, is also running from him, and he is slashing at
trying
them.
to poke him to
Guys,
death, Palpatine style.
It's a lot of just.
He gets dominated once Rey has her first Force moment, which you can go with or you cannot. But I think that some people are remembering it a little differently.
You misunderstand my question.
Yeah.
And this happened to me when I talked about the city destruction at the end of Man of Steel 2. This happens to me a lot because I talk about stories from the perspective of a writer.
Right.
It's not, how did he get hurt? I know how he got hurt. He'd been shot with a bowcaster. He was emotionally conflicted. And he then but he really isn't toying. He should have just been able to kill Finn instantly. But regardless, you're talking about things that happened in the movie. I'm talking about story-wise, stakes-wise. He's the villain. He just killed Han Solo. Let him kick some ass now instead of being a pretty fair fight with the leads. Let him get
But
scary.
don't you think he should? I don't know. I disagree. I think he should be conflicted in the head because I think he was
Let
a
him
little.
be-
He
watch
was
this.
torn and killed. I think he believed what he said of "I can't do this without you" moment. He just killed his father, who I
Right.
think probably has some light in him.
Right, but
he's screwed up.
what is the threat of a villain who can be beaten by two people at the end of the first movie?
Well, see,
That's my thing. It's not about the choice. It's about he should have been obviously toying with them instead of, well, if you watch it real close.
I did love
see
that.
my
was
difference.
great.
That's cool.
Where I differ, and I see a lot of people saying that, is just like, oh, he was a weak villain, he was a weak Darth Vader. For me, that's what I love about his character, was that Star Wars has this problem, and they keep doing it, and they've done it in all 6 movies. Even Darth Vader in the first one, you don't learn a lot about him until the second one. That's when he becomes evil. The first one, he's a henchman in a black suit.
Yeah.
And what they do with villains in Star Wars is they produce a fully formed villain who's an evil guy. And that's pretty much it. Darth Maul, cool looking, good with a lightsaber, disposable. Count Dooku, Christopher Lee voice, again, evil. And what I liked about Kylo Ren is that he was a villain who wasn't fully formed, and he was capable of getting his ass kicked probably when he should have dominated it. And I think that's where I'm now interested. I was never really interested in the characters of any of the villains in the Star Wars movies before. I'm interested in his character specifically because, like, how does he deal with that? How does he deal with the fact that, yeah, he got his ass kicked by these 2 people that he should not have gotten beaten by? Is he going to come back stronger? Is he going to keep fighting against the light? I think that's why I push back against that a little bit. But, you know, again, it's all a case of, like, yes, the screenplay does take shortcuts, and I think maybe they do obscure some things that they could have saved themselves some grief on if they established a little more properly.
Yeah, but like P.S. Finn is established as a janitor, and yet he's able to use a lightsaber efficiently enough to fight a trained
Not only
stormtrooper
that,
with
but
a
he's
thing.
like, I've only used a blaster, and then he's shooting the ships really well, and several different spaceships.
It's just all video game shit. They are as capable as they need to be.
I don't disagree. I also didn't care.
Yeah.
I feel like I was still.
I think that's reasonable.
I think I had. Usually,
Yeah.
I do care because we have to
One of
care.
the-
But
one of the
I don't
things
know.
I want to see if Max agrees. Is Finn, his buddy dies, blood on his thing, and he's conflicted. And then to escape, he destroys all the other people he probably was in the academy with a gun.
Oh,
Boom, 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 boom.
none of it makes sense.
I mean,
His escape was weird. I'm going to save you. How did you know who he was?
And also,
Why?
Poe Dameron just being like, how much he gets in the TIE fighter, and he's the best TIE fighter
I
ever.
did love Poe only because of that opening shot where he's like, "Am I supposed to talk? Are you supposed to talk?"
Oh,
that was a great. I thought that set up an amazing thing, but then we never really get to see more of it.
You have just hit on my biggest weird thing about the movie. And again, I don't hate it. All of those Whedon things.
It was Whedon-esque.
You got a boyfriend? You got a cute boyfriend?
That was out of place. It was
Droid,
very-
please.
Yeah.
Droid, please. All those.
Droid Please was a little much.
No. But all of those is not the way people talk in a Star Wars movie, which this is a new Star Wars movie.
New universe.
Except everyone else, the rest of the time,
Yeah.
acts and talks like they're in Star Wars. So when they do that, it's like, I remember that was the first moment in the movie, because it's a great line.
Yeah.
Who's going to talk first, you or me? But it was like, what? Why?
I think it worked coming out of him, but I don't disagree. There were probably some other moments that didn't need to be there.
I
mean,
like that moment, but there's other moments. Yeah.
Listen, it's. I guess it was inevitable this movie was going to be subject to microanalysis. I mean, that's
Let's talk about
that's
what we
fans
liked.
do.
Yeah, let's end on what we liked.
Let's talk about what we like.
Well, here's what I'll say overall in general with Star Wars is I think that it was almost an impossible task because JJ had to please. This was the bridge movie, so JJ had to please the people that love the old movies that don't want anything to change ever, and the people who don't care about the old movies,
And the people who love the prequels.
and the people who love the prequels, and believe me,
exist.
there's a generation that we
No,
found
I
out when we
know.
did the Untitled Chapter.
I know.
It's really crazy.
Don't remind me.
There is a full generation who love the prequels and the people that just want to see something new, and somehow he had to please all of them.
And the
So-
people who are like,
huge
they made a
problem.
new Star Wars? Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot
exactly.
of those people.
What's a Star
Someone at
Wars?
a party 3 weeks ago goes, I
Star
hear
Wars.
they're making another one.
Because JJ directed the first one, the Star Trek.
Exactly.
So he got to
It's a
direct
sequel.
this one too.
100% Dan, and I think, given all that,
So given all that, I think yes, there's a flaws, but for him to pull it off well enough that I came out of it excited about the future, and now for me, Episode 8 is where my analysis and my pressure is going to be. Is like, okay, you had a bridge movie. I think you did a great job. You fell into some potholes, but Episode 8 is for me is going to be okay. What's this new
Yes.
trilogy have to offer me?
well, let's go around. And then finally, I liked Leia. I was surprised. I liked the moments we had her. I thought she was strong, and I was a little worried about seeing older Carrie Fisher because she is slightly crazy sometimes. But I thought she got right in there and was amazing. And the hug of bring her back. I wish we'd gotten some more moments with it, but in those small moments we had, I thought her and Harrison Ford, I think, did great.
Honestly, is this our final wrap up?
Yeah, what some of you liked?
I liked a lot of it.
Pick a moment you did like.
I liked a lot of it. I loved the Kylo Ren with a different setup to it. I really enjoyed Kylo Ren's confrontation with Rey in the room where she goes, take off the mask. You're a dummy in a mask. And he goes, fuck you. Here I am. And she goes, oh. And then he tries to do the mind thing and she goes, you're scared.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't make any sense because Anakin would have reached out to him by now and said the dark side is bad. If you had Anakin
Yoda,
said the ghost,
a million people
the
could have
ghost,
reached
out.
out.
If he was like
Well,
Darth
we
Vader,
don't know.
if he was like Darth Vader, hey, yo,
The Force freeze.
The Force slept, man.
how fucking
Force was
scary
sleeping.
would it be if when the big hologram of Snoke comes up, it's fucking Darth Vader?
Oof.
Because no one knows Darth Vader was Anakin. No one knows that.
That's true.
So it's Darth Vader and he's
Still
like
could be.
Lord Vader. That would have been like that
be
would have blown
decaying- his decaying body.
Something I loved.
Yes.
Something I loved. The First Order. I thought they were scary. I thought the way Domhnall Gleeson played his character was really scary. I thought everything about them said the stuff that I liked in the first Star Wars movies about the Empires, which are these are fascists. I really just love the idea of Rey and Finn. I love the idea of a good stormtrooper and of this girl from the desert who maybe has some mythic connection to the story. I loved the execution of Kylo Ren. The actors, the performance. I thought Leia should have died. I thought Ren should have got Han and Leia. What?
Go really dark, yeah.
Yeah, and give him something so that when he gets beaten the shit out of in a couple seconds later, you're like, yeah, fuck him
Oh,
up.
I love BB-8. Like just even when it's like the little cat purring.
Fun.
It was cute.
He's a fun new R2D2.
Favorite thing in the movie. It's me, C-3PO. You probably don't recognize me because of the red arm. I was like,
Amidst that amazing moment, I loved it
Yeah.
too.
C-3PO!
Yeah, my favorite thing by far was Han Solo and Harrison Ford's performance. Just the fact that it was Han. It wasn't Harrison Ford in Han Solo clothes. It was Han Solo, and he was back, and I love that. I love Poe and Finn's dynamic, and I look forward to seeing more of it in the second movie and them actually exploring. They seem like a really fun pair together.
Yeah, they're cute.
They're a really cute kind of pair, and I look forward to that. I loved Rey's character, and I'm looking forward to her and Luke Skywalker doing the Jedi training thing, and I think it's going to be a different Luke Skywalker. He's going to probably be a little more depressed and a little more wary and a little more skeptical. For me, what ultimately won me over on this movie, and what may, if depending on episode 8, sink it, is the promise. I think it set up so many promising things for the future, and that's what sold me more than anything else. And again, the story's yet to be written. At the end of this, we may say, "Oh boy, how wrong was I?" But right now, it got me excited about the future of Star Wars again, which is something I haven't felt in a very, very, very long time.
Ken?
Well, for me, it really, really adds some layers to the new canon, which they're doing so much trying to rebuild. Not all of it perfect so far, but some of it's really great. Read Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. To me, some of the themes of this movie was about a mythical type of these characters trying to accept or not accept their roles. And I like the switch of a villain who he, instead of trying to avoid going to the dark side, he's trying to avoid going to the light side, which is a different switch for me. I loved Rey more than you, though I can acknowledge that I'm in the Star Wars nerd bubble. Look, I'm an adult male with Star Wars stickers on my computer. So I get it, man. But I like Dan, just the feeling of it. And hey, they got they got the original trilogy wrapped up into one movie, so now Rian Johnson can take it into a new territory, and I hope that. And I agree that you shouldn't base your judgment on a movie on what could also come with it, but that's also the time, because you look, something happens in Game of Thrones you don't like, don't worry, it's attached to something else and will make sense later. That's just kind of where we are when it comes to some of this pop culture filmmaking.
Well, and the crazy thing, when Kevin Smith was on, he was saying they're all prequels now, and it's true. We have to call them all prequels.
I hate that.
I refuse to do that.
Technically,
It's so hard.
Prequels refer to one specific set of movies.
It's funny. Can I ask a final question?
Sure.
Of you guys?
Last question.
Absolutely.
So they got rid of the expanded universe,
Yes.
but they didn't really need that. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Who is the character from the expanded universe who you would be most excited or surprised to see show up? Because there's Han and Leia's son going to the dark side. I mean, like there are elements of the expanded universe in this movie.
Well, Jason, for me, I think if what we're led to believe that Rey is related to Luke, give me a Mara Jade type character. I'd love that.
I will put my cards on the table. I am completely ignorant of the former expanded universe. I read a
Just
couple
say Jackson,
of
the rabbit X-wing pilot.
I read a
That's all you need
few.
to
I
answer.
read a few books, the ones that had the Millennium Falcon on it, because Han Solo was my favorite character. There was one that crashed on a planet, but I never actually really got into expanded universe.
Yeah, I'm with him. Is there one you're looking forward to seeing?
I mean, there are two. There are three, if I'm being honest. The three best. Mara Jade, Luke's partially Sith, troubled, really intense, cool, smart wife and mother to his children. Grand Admiral Thrawn, the only alien ever to serve in the Empire.
That's right.
Chiss, who has blue-white skin and is incredibly vicious and is just one of the great villains. And one of the
Absolutely.
great character designs.
Absolutely.
And I really want Leia to be like, hey, Finn, Poe, you guys need to go pick up Luke. We need a pilot. Who do you know? Well, I know one guy, but he's pretty old now. Dash Rendar.
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the motherfucking Empire. He's not dead. He's not dead. I still believe.
A lot of people happy.
Yeah.
A lot of people happy.
Mara Jade would make me just so
Some
happy.
version
Sounds
of that.
awesome. I do know about her. Yeah, that would be a fun.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do it though. I think they're creating their own canon now.
Yeah, they are, but
But no reason they couldn't steal
and also
pieces
just
of it.
pull it out of your pocket and
Yeah.
you'd be like, whoa, it's her. You know,
Yeah.
and kill people.
They don't. They're definitely nudging and making some nods to the the Sun Crusher type of thing was a little bit of tie into this planet, the Starkiller base, and then Jason Solo.
They
I'm the only
cannot do
person who-
another base.
No.
Death Star
Well,
explosion.
do you know what the Sun Crusher was? People love it and hate it.
It's a big ship that destroys.
It's a little ship.
Yeah, little ship
It's
that
the size
destroys
of an X-wing.
Yeah, that destroys suns in the planet.
There's this
yeah.
amazing thing in the
sounds
expanded
fun.
universe where they design this little ship that looks like a funnel that can blow up suns, and they're like, we need the best pilot out. And then basically the Star Wars version of a school shooter. A kid who's like losing his mind to the dark side steals it. And the whole book is like, Oh no! It's such a good. I really like it. Some people hate it.
Yeah. But I think it was a nod. I think it was a little bit of a nod of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. This was a very fun conversation. Thank you for coming. I know we're planning a movie fight with you sometime in the new year if you're willing to come back.
Yes, as long as I don't have to give my opinions on modern movies.
But I
don't wanna be
thank you
known
for
as
doing
that
this.
guy.
And you clearly know your stuff, Star Wars, and I appreciate the intelligent conversation here. So thanks for coming, Max. And go buy American Alien right in comic book stores now.
American Alien issue 3 comes out next month, but issues 1 and 2, it's my revamp Mary suing of Superman.
How dare you, sir?
Mary Superman, because he is in some ways.
Mary
but
Superman.
He's
Hashtag.
but yeah, please
Check it
buy
out. Yeah, please do. Dan Merle at Merle Dan. Anything you'd like to plug, good sir?
No, can I just say after an entire weekend of on Twitter, it was nice to have this lovely conversation where we could share our differences and yet still be nice to each other.
Yeah,
it was very nice. I said it this weekend. Whether you liked the movie or you didn't like the movie, people online are pissed at you about it.
Oh, well, I called them a-holes if they don't like the movie.
I was told by someone that I was a sexist who should get syphilis.
Ken Knapsack, anything TV Fights live tonight, right? And every Tuesday on
TV Fights
ScreenJunkies
live
Plus.
tonight with Jason Mewes, Rob C. from Survivor, and Dan Merle stepping into the TV Fights realm. Yeah, a lot of fun, man. I love that we're talking about Star Wars again. And hey, man, out there on the internet, common sense doesn't reign, but it's nice to have Max come in here and kind of explain himself a little bit. I think you love being a lightning rod sometimes, and it's fun to watch you spin. But I also know you have very intelligent opinions on how it
be
does.
nice, people.
And I enjoy discussing it with you.
Thank you, Ken. I had fun too. It was really a good time.
Thank you guys for watching again. No Australia today, but TV Fights live at 4 if you're watching today only. And we will have a Screen Junkies extended holiday special, a special Christmas special featuring Max Landis and Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Doug Benson. It's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Flula. You'll want to tune in. It's dropping on Screen Junkies Plus. The extended version will be on Screen Junkies Plus Wednesday, and then a smaller cut down at Screen Junkies show on Thursday. So thank you guys so much for watching. ScreenJunkies.com. See you next time.